Hi, I'm Ed Titus at the Home Theater channel on YouTube. This is part 4 of the DIY home theater program. Thank you.
Lighting is also crucial to the overall quality of your home theater. You want the room to be dark, much like a movie theater, but with just enough light so people can move around safely. You also want to arrange the light sources so they don't cast any glare on the big screen.
The directivity of the lighting is great, and doing something out in this area with a tracked lighting type of product where you can really aim and focus that light directly down as opposed to letting it escape and kind of splay up onto the screen.
So avoid table lamps and fluorescents. They'll flood your room with light and cast a glare on the screen. Instead, use directional lighting, like track lights and wall sconces. And one of the most important things you can do is install dimmers. They're an inexpensive way to adjust the level of light in your home theater. The color of your room can also help reduce screen glare. And when it comes to your walls and ceiling, the goal is to not use anything that would distract from the room's focal point, the video screen. You can cover walls with acoustic fabric, like you usually see in a movie theater, or you can paint your home theater a dark color. But don't use a gloss, semi-gloss, or even a satin finish. You want flat, no-glare paint. Your door is the weakest link in sound transmission. Standard grade interior doors can let sound filter into other parts of the house through gaps between the door and walls. Mark, you've gotten into so much trouble to keep the sound in the home theater and not leak to the rest of the house. Then the homeowner's gone and put in a pocket door, which really leaks sound. So how do you combat that?
Well, you're right. The pocket doors do let a lot of sound leak through. The homeowner wanted a grand entrance into his home theater, and in this case, that's all right, because all we have outside are some equipment racks and a stairwell leading upstairs where there's a door at the top. And at that door, we installed some special sound isolation materials.
I gotta say, that is the coolest thing in the whole house, that little gadget at the bottom of the door. And you're saying that's under $100?
Exactly. And what that does is when the door closes, it triggers off the door sill and drops a small seal at the bottom that helps isolate the sound. We've also treated the other 3 sides of the door with a weather stripping like material that keeps the sound getting through any of the cracks. And it's a solid wooden door.
Now, Mark, that leaves one door, and that's to the garage. So did you do anything special to keep sound leakage there?
Yes, we did. We used an exterior grade door with weather stripping all around it and a threshold at the bottom. And I recommend using that even for an interior door leading into your home theater to get good sound isolation.
When it comes to furniture for your home theater, you can spend tens of thousands of dollars on high-quality cabinets to house your gear. But if you're on a budget, equipment cabinets don't have to be made of expensive wood or have a fine finish. We've built a simple plywood cabinet under the big screen to house the subwoofers and painted it black. When the subs are in place, we'll add a hinged door frame covered with acoustic fabric, which will allow sound to pass through. Our receiver, DVD player, and other gear will be housed in metal racks just outside the pocket doors. It's just a few steps away, but by being in another room, it cuts down on acoustic interference from cooling fans and other sounds from the equipment. For our media storage, we built cabinets out of plywood and placed them in the back of the room. It's also out of sight from the viewing position and doubles as an acoustic absorber for sound waves bouncing around the back of the room. Now we're going to construct acoustic panels to further improve the sound of the room. And that's a trick any DIYer can do. Our first goal in improving the room's sound is to eliminate the reflection points. A reflection point is where sound bounces off objects in the room, making the sound less clear. To reduce these reflection points, our homeowner Peter Moore will hang absorption panels on the walls of his home theater. He's using thick insulated panels and covering them with acoustic fabric. The fabric is loosely woven, adds a decorative touch, and will help with the panel's absorption. Our next step is to figure out where to place the panels. Now, Mark, we've actually built the side panels that are going to go on the walls, but how do you figure out the best place to put them for the best sound? Do you need a computer for that?
Well, one way to find your primary reflection point is using computer analysis. But a trick that I like to use and people can use at home is moving a mirror down the side wall. Let me show you how that works. Why don't you move over into the listening city? What I'm going to do is hold this mirror on the side wall and move it along. You tell me when you see the right speaker mount.
Okay, I see it right now.
All right, I'm going to mark that point. Now I'm going to move it on down the side wall, and you tell me when you see the left speaker mount.
Okay, a little bit more right there.
All right. Now we found those two reflection points, and what we'll be able to do is cover both of them with one absorptive panel. And what that's going to do is deaden the sidewall reflections of both the left and right speakers for the CD position.
Now, would you have to do this process for the other wall as well, or just one wall suffice?
It's a good idea to do it for the other wall. A lot of times in a rectangular room like this, we'll find that the panels will go in the same location, but not every home theater is a perfect rectangle.
We've marked the area where our panels will hang. Now it's time to find the studs. Then we screw 5 mounting brackets, called impaling clips, into the wall. Finally, we'll mount the panel onto the clips and make sure it's firmly in place. We will also hang an absorption panel of the same size directly opposite this one on the right wall, because both the left and right walls cause reflections. But you don't have to worry about primary reflection on the floor, because the carpet acts as an absorption panel. Still ahead, connecting the core of your home theater. We'll show you how to hook up all your electronics, plus recommend a product that could help protect your system. Components, speakers, and video sources. It's time to hook up the heart of our home theater. Welcome back to DIY's Home Theater Workshop. We're ready to install all of our electronics that are going to give our system great video and awesome sound. There are many ways to house your gear, and we're going with a metal racking system that rotates and provides adequate space between components for ventilation. Now, Mark, this is something I wish my system had, this rack. I've got the rat's nest of cables like we have here behind my cabinet. I'm always having to look at cables and find out where this cable goes to the other one. This rack seems to solve so many problems.
Yes, it does. Not only can we load all the equipment in here on its own shelf, which keeps from stacking one component on top of another and possibly having heat issues, but it also manages all these cables we have coming in the back, and it helps prolong the life of the connections you're making on the back of your equipment.
I love also that these racks actually rotate around so you can turn your whole system around without having to go back there with a flashlight.
Exactly. Once we get all the components loaded in, we simply pull out the rack, spin it around, and I can sit right here and make all of my connections in an easy working environment. As a matter of fact, it's time to start loading some gear, so why don't you give me a hand with this amplifier?
You got it. This amplifier is a large and very important component. It will power all the surround sound speakers. Next, we mount the surround processor into the racks. It decodes all the digital surround tracks and acts as a switcher for our audio and video signals. Our DVD player goes in next. And we're installing a power conditioner, which protects our entire system from power surges and provides cleaner sound. Now, Mark, you put in a power conditioner. You like these things. What does a power conditioner bring to the table that a $12 surge protector doesn't?
Well, the first thing a power conditioner does is provide clean power for all your electronics. And what that means is it takes out any of the radio frequency interference and stabilizes the voltage. And by using clean power, you get clean sound. The second important thing it does is provide real surge protection for events like lightning and brownouts, and that protects your investment that you have in your components.
Now, depending upon how modest the system is or expensive, are people really going to hear a difference when you put one of these things in the system?
It depends on what level you go to. You can spend anywhere from $50 to $5,000. And depending on the components you have in the system, the difference can be as big as night and day.
We're also installing a VCR and a gaming console. Now it's time to turn the racks around and connect all of our cables. Our first step is to organize all the wiring for our speakers and video projector.
Now I'm starting to connect the speaker wires to the power amplifier. One of the things I do is go ahead and get them connected and begin to dress them back out of the equipment rack so I can store any excess cable behind the rack and not get in the way of a much neater looking.
Stay tuned for part 5 of the DIY home theater program, and I'll see you soon.